Hello, everybody. Welcome to the March edition of Ladies No Shade, No Shame. This month's topic is going to be about addiction. We all know family members, co-workers, friends, someone that addiction has not touched at some point in their lives. There are 21 million people that have some sort of addiction in the US, and less than 10% of them actually will seek some type of treatment, which is a very small number. And so the 21 million alone, they all have families, they all have friends, and so you can see how those strings kind of touch the fabrics of everyone's lives. So it's a lot of people. So I say all of that to say that you're not in it by yourself. Full transparency. Yolanda and I both have family members, several that are affected with some type of addiction, and so we thought that we would talk about the subject and kind of do some of our own therapy with ourselves, that we can talk about it and provide you with some of the phone numbers and statistics and signs and things like that we've researched that may help you, or you may want to pass along to a family member. So welcome. I'm Jennifer, and as you know,
Yolanda.
This is my BFF Yolanda, and so this is this month's topic. So I will start and give you kind of like what the causes are when it comes to addiction, things that kind of play into a person becoming addicted to some type of drug or alcohol. So there's family history, mental health, peer pressure, a lack of family engagement. You're just kind of leaving the kids to their whims, and so they get involved with peer pressure and they start trying things. Or family history. I see mama do it, I see daddy doing it, and so that's my normal. Normal starts at home. If that is what they see and that is all they know, and they've seen it from the cradle all the way up to a very impressionable age, that is their normal, and so they see nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
And then the final thing, well, not the final, but one of the final things that I have is that if you start taking drugs at a very young age, which again kind of goes back to the peer pressure, you take a highly addictive drug at a young age. And then there are three major drugs that are considered really highly addictive and that have all kind of side effects. And so the first one would be, crack and cocaine, heroin, and then meth. And we actually saw some statistics that you have meth users as young as 11 years old, which is very sad. Life has not even started, and whether they fell victim to some type of peer pressure or what, but they have become an addict at 11 years old. So those are the topics that, those are the items that we're going to open it up with. So Yolanda, what would you like to add?
Well, I want to kind of address the effects of what the abuser or the addiction does to the family. Just to get into the effects and how it affects the family, first is financially, of course, which is the most obvious. Then physically, and also mentally and emotionally.
It can be very draining.
The loss of trust immediately, because that person becomes a habitual liar. And he's lying or she's lying about everything to try to get that finance for that next fix.
Or cover it up, because you will have people that will look you directly in the face and lie, and they're lying, and I think sometimes even they know that they're lying. So and it's kind of hard to offer assistance to people when you know that they're lying. It's almost a deterrent for me. Well, it's not almost, it is a deterrent for me. When I know you're lying, it makes me want to decrease my effort to help you, because you are lying to me.
Exactly. And there are means that they use. I mean, there's no person that they will not use if they see that it will benefit them. I have members who have small children, and they're still abusing, right in the same household where the kids are. And to me, that is so sad, but they use that to their advantage because they know if the kids were not present, then maybe there would be tougher love given to them or
Yeah.
shown to them,
Yeah.
or maybe they would be cut off, completely. So they use the kids as a crutch and a means to continue to abuse.
Yeah, but that's where you kind of walk the fine line of being an enabler. Just like you said, if they were an adult and the kids weren't there, how much help would I extend? I
Exactly.
extend the help not because of you,
But
because
of
of the
kids.
kids.
Exactly.
So
And they play on that.
and they play on that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, and whether you want to admit it or not, it is classified as a mental disorder. So if you are repeatedly engaging in behavior where the risk is higher than the benefit,
Right.
and you're doing it over and over and over again and expecting the same results, and I don't even know that they're expecting the same results. It is a mental condition, because why would anyone purposely want to engage in bad, risky behavior over and over and over again when it's not benefiting you?
Right.
Maybe, a couple of minutes of high, and then you go and you continue to chase it. That's a benefit. So that small benefit is worth your family, it's worth your
Right.
friends, it's worth your job, it's worth your livelihood. You don't have anywhere to stay. You can't, take care of yourself without someone, basically using you
Right.
to get something out of you. So you kind of develop codependencies with other people.
Exactly.
And so you kind of feed off each other. They feed off of any type of financial gain that they may be able to get from you, and then you,
Sympathy,
yep,
yes.
and then you feed off of them, because maybe they'll give you a place to stay, or they'll let you do drugs at their place.
Wow.
And it's a codependency. It is not a healthy one either.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
I would like to go into some of the signs of addiction in a child, and starting off with withdrawal, their behavior. Say they're outgoing and they're playful and they have a lot of friends. That child becomes very withdrawn and stays in their room a lot.
And they're
Or-
normally more outgoing.
Exactly. Outgoing and hanging with friends, where now they're more secluded and shut in. Poor school performances, or skipping school, or not going at all. So now you're getting calls from the school
Check
that your
that
child
backpack, that book bag.
exactly is not in attendance. And just to tab on what you just said, do not be afraid to go into your child's room and go through their room. I did it with my daughter several times. She didn't always know I was going through her room, but
now.
I love my daughter enough to want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I put everything back the way it was, but I knew everything that was going on.
Yeah.
So do not be afraid to go into the room, even with the do not disturb sign on the door.
First of all,
because kids have no privacy in your home that they are not paying bills.
Thank you. And
And that's
I'm
just
like
me.
you. If I wanna, when my kids were young, if I wanted to go through that bag, they could tell you
Yes.
I went through it.
Yes.
And I didn't care if they knew or not, or if they were in
Yes.
the room. Because as you say, I'm the parent.
I love them
and
too much.
There is no
Not
telling me
to
that I
know.
can't go through a
Exactly.
book bag and you 10.
Exactly.
It ain't happening.
Yes.
So,
But just to give the other signs real quickly, Jen. Reckless behavior.
oh yeah.
Stealing, lying, not being honest, and about simple things. Where were you? Why didn't you come home from school? And then they lie or go around the bridge 50 times about that. That's a sign. Something's going on. And the last one, but the most serious one, is running away.
Yeah, that's pretty
God
bad.
forbid, yeah.
And even some signs with adults, if you have a person who's they're prone to mood swings, or they abandon relationships and commitments, and they ignore things that are traditionally have been very important to them, and then they engage in risky behavior, and they traditionally didn't engage in any type of risky behavior, going to risky parts of town,
Right.
meeting people, and just doing very risky, high risk behavior type things. You can kind of see that as some of the red flags, I guess you could say. And then I also want to ask, how do you draw the line without being an enabler when you want to offer assistance to a family member or friend that's on drugs? Where do you draw the line to where you're not enabling the behavior? You know, it kind of tinkers on the line of, do I do tough love? Do I fully support it and, you know, and just say, hey, I'm going to do whatever because that's my loved one? How do you not make their addiction affect your life and become an enabler? What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's going to affect you because they're a loved one. So that's out of the question. It will always affect you. I would say given that support, but also been very stern with consequences. And not only being stern with the consequences, but also standing by those consequences. So I can be here for you when you need me, when you're ready, you know, but here are the guidelines that you need to follow if you're wanting to stop or at least try. But if you don't follow through, I'm cutting off ties with this. You can't do this no more. The doors are locked. You're no longer able to knock on my door at this certain time at night. When they do, don't open the door. Stand by those consequences. And that way they know.
Yeah.
You
so
know,
like quick pro
get
quo.
right.
You do something, I do something.
Exactly.
Basically. So if you are fully active and engaged in your recovery, then I'm going to give you some type of benefit as a reward for you striving for sobriety or to kick your addiction. You know, I will help get groceries. I will help, you know, keep your cell phone on. You know, things like
you
that.
Show responsibility
You show responsibility.
I
will assist you. But where you get family members who become checked out, and I could say I'm probably 99% checked out, and it's just 1% left with me with some of my family members.
I hear you.
Because at the end of the day, it just gets old.
Yes.
And you're kind of tired of seeing the same thing over and over and over again, and so you become checked out. That's the only thing that I can say. You're too old to run away, so you just check out. You know, and so. You don't want to enable someone, but at the same time, you still want to make sure that they are taken care of. But I don't want to spend my hard-earned money on buying things that help you continue your drug use.
Exactly.
Because you're actually doing what you want to do with your money. And so with my money, I prefer to travel. I prefer to spend it on my grandchild. You know, things like that. I don't want my money to be spent to help someone who's not helping themselves. Does that make sense?
And it's really hard to check out. Ways that you can stop an enabler, for one, will be to give them support with consequences. And stand by the consequences as far as that. But more or less, I really just want to give some tips as to how you can protect yourself or know or stop being an enabler yourself. And some of the tips that I have is, first of all and foremost, stop funding them, as I stated before. Educate yourself so that you know that you're giving support in the right way and you're not, making a situation worse. You know, a lot of times we get angry and we try to make the person feel guilty about, you know, taking a family through the hardship and the kids. And that actually it has a reverse effect on them. They don't hear that. It makes them want to, you know, dive into it even more because they're using it as a means to escape reality and their issues and their troubles. And if you're making them feel guilty, then they only want to do it even more because they're looking for an out. Get medical help from a professional. There's numbers and websites which we do have listed, above, that you can call for advice on how to guide you in the ways of helping your family members or friends, and how to talk to them and what stage that they're at, and what are some of the things that you tried and what you need to try. And lastly, but the most serious, is when all else fails, get a court order.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about that, Jen?
It's just very hard because, like you said, you don't want to be an enabler, but at
Right.
the same time, you try to make sure that they're taken care of and things like that. And as I said it before, I'm pretty much checked out, and so it's just the engagement becomes draining when you've dealt with it for so long and for so many years, and you have not seen any change in certain people, and they don't see anything wrong with it. The engagement is draining.
Right.
It's physically draining, and I think more importantly, I think it's mentally draining. Because you have your feelings and things like that wrapped
Right.
up into it. And so I go back to quid pro quo, you do something, I do something. So what can I do to help without becoming an enabler? Like you said, stop funding, the different situations where they may be falling short during the middle of the month or whatever that time is where they don't have any money. Do you just say, no, I'm not going to do it? And then I say, yeah, say no to some of that stuff.
Right.
Because you need your phone bill paid better than anybody.
Exactly.
You need your rent paid better
Right.
than anybody.
Right.
And if it's not important enough to you to set aside money to take care of your personal expenses, then I don't think you should expect a family member, just because they're your family member, to pick up the slack if
Right.
you're not doing what you're supposed to do to try to get better. Don't try to make them feel guilty about not wanting to help, because you're doing what you want to do with your money. Again, I prefer to travel with my money. I prefer to spend it on my beautiful grandchild. I don't care to fund expenses for someone who's not trying to help themselves, and they're displaying or exhibiting the same behavior that they've exhibited for the last 40 years.
Right.
It's draining. So you just kind of reach a point at some point, and you say enough.
Yeah.
And so I'm to that point where it's just enough. At my age, and with more time behind me than I have in front of me, I don't care to focus on those things anymore.
Right.
And so that's why I say I don't know if checked out is the right word, is that I'm going to be looking out for me and not focus on that anymore, where
Right.
as when I was younger, it was really important for me to try to help and get in there and try to make sure people are okay and things like that. At this point, I'm sorry, it's all about me. So
Yeah.
it is all about me. I've done that. I've extended my hand and all of that, and nothing comes of it.
Right.
Nothing comes of it. So.
And also, try not to take it all upon yourself to solve this problem, because it is a huge issue and problem.
Oh, yeah.
So bring in your family members and the people who you think are mentors or influencers of that person, and do an intervention.
Do you think interventions really help, though, if the person is not ready?
Well, I think it's more or less letting him know where his connections are going to be cut off. So everyone involved has probably already been lied to, been borrowed from, never paid back, had to give them a sleepover at the house, or been affected some way or another. So if everyone's in the room present, and this
Everyone
is
is
the
in
road,
agreement.
exactly, that this is the road that we're going to take. We support you if you want to stop. But if not, these are the doors that are about to be shut. So you can't come back, and make sure that everyone is in agreement that, hey, when this door is closed, it's closed, because as we know, this person pretty much has to hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
And even when they hit rock bottom and you see that they are down
It may be
there,
rock bottom when you're looking at it,
it's
but it might not be rock bottom for them.
It's hard not to go and bail them out or pick them up, but sometimes you have to leave them out there.
Yeah, it is. That's where you get that tough love. But I do think that when you have someone who is not truly ready for sobriety, or if they're not wanting to get better, you have wasted efforts. You have truly wasted efforts. So no matter how much I want that person to get off drugs, or how much you want that person to get off drugs, like I said, they will look you right in the face and lie and say, "Oh yeah, I do," and not cut off any ties with people who actively engage in drugs on a daily basis, or when they're in their company, continue to frequent places that they can potentially get a score, because they know that I can knock on this door at these apartments and I can get drugs. You're still going, and you're still, I guess you could say, displaying the same habits, and you're not doing anything different. So to me, I would take you seriously if, okay, I'm not going to go and hang out with these people here anymore, because I know that there's a potential, and it's a high potential that they're going to have drugs there. And if you're weak, then you're going to want to partake in those drugs. Or I'm not going to go to this part of town. I'm not going to go to this party, because you even have like triggers that will kind of get you going. So if you drink, then maybe you shouldn't be drinking if that's going to be a trigger to make you want to do drugs. So you have to think about all of that and be very serious and conscious, and have a conscious mind about the things that trigger you and the drug usage. And so, like I said before, kudos to the people that actually step out on faith, and they are successful, and they actually strive to work at their sobriety or their drug habit on a daily basis. Like I said, I've never done any drugs or anything like that, but I just know that it's hard. Just looking at the statistics, when you have 21 million people, but only 10% kind of actively seek some type of treatment, and a lot of it is not successful. You have people going in and out, in and out, in and out, and we've all seen things on TV, like your Whitney Houston's or your Prince, and I think just recently Bobby Brown's son died a couple of months ago with a whole bunch of drugs in his system. And all of these people, you would never think this person has all of this stuff going on for them. She's a rich and powerful singer. She has all this money in the world. She's got this beautiful voice, and that just goes to show you, it does not matter if you're making $20,000 a year or $20 million. Drugs can affect everybody. So it's just a hard place to be in.
Yes, I agree 100%. We're going to list a website and some numbers for you guys to seek some help or guidance if you're interested. We thank you for being here with us during this time. Me and Jen was sitting down, and we were kind of talking like we always do, and it helps us to talk about the drama and the issues that are going on in each other's lives. And we're so similar in just about everything we do. So it helps me, and it makes me feel better when I have an outlet. That and she's the same way, and
with no judgments
she may
or
know some things that she's done that worked, and she gives me advice and vice versa. So hopefully we've said something that may help you or guide you in the right way as well.
And we're also, like she said, we have some numbers, because sometimes it takes you speaking with someone that's not going to judge you, because I'm the first one to admit I'm very judgmental, but I have heartstrings that are attached to that person, and so it puts you in a position to judge that person, and so
because they can do better,
they can do better,
done better.
And so, but if you want to talk with someone, we have some numbers. There's the National Addiction Center, www.nationaladdictioncenter.org, and the number is 866-826-2659. Sometimes it just takes a person who's non-judgmental. They don't know anything about you, and that you can be totally open and honest with what may have led you to start taking drugs, and they can offer some advice on how you can kind of turn your life around. And even locally, there's a place that's called the Greenhouse Treatment. It's located in Grand Prairie, and you can find that online and get that number. And also the Circle of Hope. All of these are really good centers that offer treatment, counseling. There's a ton of support and resources and things out there.
Yes.
But just like I was saying, the person has to want it, and not in your time, but in their time. What you have to do with your time is try to have a little patience, and we look, I'm not God, and my grace is not long, so and neither is my patience for certain things. But if you can find someone that you can talk to who has a heart for this and can be non-judgmental, then definitely call and reach out to that person and reach out to these centers and see if you can get some type of help. Because the first part of recovery, when you have some type of addiction, is recognizing that problem and owning it.
Yes,
don't be afraid to say, I have a problem and I need help. That is the very first step, recognizing it and owning it. So I'll just close with that. Do you have any parting words or anything like that?
No, I think we said it all. Thank you again for joining us, guys. We really appreciate you.
We do. Thank you. And you're not in it by yourself. Keep your chin up, and we love you.
Love you.
Bye.